Hey, what are we doing today?
Hey, we're gonna do a dungeon.
Okay.
Great.
Hi, what are we doing today?
Hey, how about a dungeon?
Okay. Hey, what are we doing today?
Hey, I thought about dungeon.
Again? Hey, so what are we doing today?
Dungeon!
Again? Fuck!
Hello everyone, welcome back to another SwissRPG. Well, it's not a review this time, right? It's more of a rant, to be honest with you.
It's an honest review.
It's an honest review. Yes, let's call it like that. Honest review is a good point. And we're not going to do a one-shot this time. We felt brave and said we're going to go into something official.
We're gonna do a full campaign.
And it's Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Hooray! Like, really, we need to talk.
Also, he's Babs. I'm Luke.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, we need to talk. Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Let's talk about this dumpster fire of a campaign.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a dumpster fire. Fire is too exciting.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, it is exciting if you get it in. I mean, that was basically, let's tell you my story about Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I went into a shop, Tactica, by the way, very good shop. Let's go there.
Not a sponsor, but
Not a sponsor, but our favorite shop.
Favorite best shop.
And was looking for my first long-term D&D campaign back when I restarted the hobby for myself. So I was looking at this, and the back of it actually says, "In the city of Waterdeep rests a tavern called the Yawning Portal, named after the gaping pit in its common room. At the bottom of this crumbling shaft is a labyrinth-themed dungeon shunned by all but the most daring adventurers. Known as Undermountain, this dungeon is the domain of the mad wizard Halaster Blackcloak. Long has the Mad Mage dwelt in these forlorn depths, seeding his lair with monsters, traps, and mysteries. To what end? That question is a constant source of speculation and concern." Doesn't that sound exciting?
Wow, I'm so excited.
I mean, it really does sound interesting.
I did buy this as well.
Yeah.
Because my campaign at the time was about Waterdeep, and I thought, this is Waterdeep, and you go down. It's a dungeon. It's great. It's everything you want in D&D.
Yeah, and it actually says it's from 5th level all the way to 20th level, which is still, up to this point, pretty unique.
Yeah, I mean, how many
Tyranny
official adventures
of
go
Dragons
to 20?
Tyranny of Dragons goes to 20.
Is it?
Yeah, it actually does.
I split into 2 books anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the one thing, right? Tyranny of Dragons goes to 20, Dungeon of the Mad Mage goes to 20. Everything else just ends at the midpoint around level 10, 11 or something like that.
Well, Prince of Apocalypse goes to like 14 to 16. I think Rhymer the Frost Maiden goes to like 14. But usually the cutoff point is like 16.
Yeah, that's the latest. So this is one of the few adventures where you experience your characters.
True high-level play.
Exactly, true high-level play and your characters at their most potential. So, of course, you're going to buy it, right? And specifically, since it says Waterdeep over here, you expect something about Waterdeep as well in this book, right? No.
What's Waterdeep?
Yeah, there is. Is there anything about Waterdeep in this book?
No.
It's absolutely nothing about Waterdeep in this book.
Well, there's like an NPC from Waterdeep.
Yeah. The thing is, the book starts right as it mentions on the back in the Yawning Portal. That's all of Waterdeep that you're going to see in this campaign. It's this one tavern, and that's it. There is an NPC in there that gives you a quest to just gather magic items. That's the entire hook for it. You just are there for the riches. Gather magic items, bring it back, get paid for every magic item that you bring, and then you just go down.
There's 23 levels of dungeon.
23 levels of dungeon, yes.
It's a lot of levels.
That's a lot of empty levels, specifically. You get like half a page of dungeon description. This is actually, you have artwork, which is great. We love art. But then this is everything that is going on in level 1. And level 1 then later, by map, is all of this. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of map going on there.
Does look like a dungeon.
Yeah, it is a dungeon, but there's quite a lot of map going on. But I mean, I played this level. I GM'd this and took my players. I think it was like 7 sessions to get through level 1. Took the mages, but I mean, you can do this in like 4 sessions. Maybe you can do this in 1 session, but then you're gonna just rush through. This is not worth it. But still, there is definitely not enough material in this half of the page to fill 7 sessions. I mean, if you can pull this off, then kudos. Tap my hat to you. If you can just make 7 sessions out of that little text and have an actual story going on. But it's not described there.
That's one of the main problems with the entire book. It's not described there. Sums up the book. Hallister, Black Cloak, is the central villain, but he has like not a lot of description to him. Plus, he doesn't do anything for most of the 23 levels.
No, he just pops in sometimes here and there and is an annoyance.
Does he do that in the book, or does he do that in your campaign?
No, he also does that in the book. He has those eyes following you constantly around. Then sometimes he's there at the beginning of the level and tells you what to do more or less, but it's usually just a couple of sentences and then he just disappears again.
He's supposed to be the titular character / villain.
He should actually tickle you, I don't know, every second session be there and then just do something crazy.
He should do things that antagonize you towards him. Because otherwise you get to his level and you're like, well, Hallister wasn't really a problem. Why are we fighting him?
And then the idea here is that you should be able to pop back into the Yawning Portal every now and then whenever you feel like it, which is not a huge issue when we're talking about level 1, 2, 3 maybe, something like that, where you can easily just make your way up. But as soon as you are in the middle of it at level 10, 11 or whatever, the in-game trip back to the surface would probably take you a week of in-game travel if you're not using the portals. And the portals are usually by the book limited by level, so you can't just use any portal. You need to have the right level for it, and then you also would trigger an Elder Rune, which sometimes can have negative effects. I mean,
it's really dumb design, isn't it? This is you have the portal, but portal doesn't work yet. Then why is it there?
Exactly. I mean, the portals have sometimes fun little riddles around them. In order to activate them, you need to solve something. So that is actually not that bad to have that little thingy going on.
The riddle's fine, but if by design they don't open until your specific level, it's not like this isn't the adventure where you're done with level 3 and then I can't wait to go back to level 3. You never go back there. So having it level gated to, you can't use the portal in level 3 until you're level 15. At that point, it's meaningless.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you find out that there is something, and maybe you managed even to activate it, but you can still not go through since you're just blocked from it.
Yeah, there's also this hidden character, right? This character that's been absorbed into the weave.
Yeah, the kestrel harp.
And I'm not sure, she doesn't, apart from stopping you from going to these portals, is she in the book? Not really.
No, I mean, she's supposed to talk to you whenever you try to go through a portal that's blocked, but that's about it. Jazeera Kestrel Harp, which is at least one of the few NPCs that is described by a bit, but it got also that's half a page. It's again half a page of description for one of the more essentials NPCs.
The entire book has a very fundamental flaw, which is that you only go down. There's no recurring characters that can suddenly show up again. There's no, we're in this area and we have to do business with that area, and that has a lasting impact on the flow of the campaign. It's just, we kick door, we do dungeon, we go down, we repeat. That's it, again and again and again and again. I've joined you in level 10 of this campaign?
And 9 to 10, something in between, yeah, that's right.
And we've done 4 levels or so?
4 levels,
and
exactly.
Honestly, a lot of these levels have already bored me. Like, it's not.
See how much he loves me.
It's just, there's nothing in these
right.
dungeons.
Yeah,
there's
he's
absolutely
absolutely
nothing
right.
unless the DM puts in a considerable amount of work to make these areas interesting.
Yes.
There's something called the companion.
Yes, the companion that. Before we get to the companion, I actually have to show you something in the book, which I personally think is like the worst thing that you can do if you release an official book by yourself with your name on it, Wizards of the Coast and so on. And it's this passage here.
More of Undermountain
to Love. And it points you directly to the Dungeon Masters Guild, including a link to the website where you can get additional material.
Does it work?
No, it does not.
Doesn't work.
It's not connected to the Wi-Fi, so can't really work.
Can you put on mobile data?
That is like, how can you actually put this into, we are on page 9 here. How can you put this on page 9 of your own official book that you write? Please go to Dungeon Masters Guild, download additional material to make this book even work.
It also has, at several points within the actual maps of the dungeons, here to expanded dungeon. Yes. We don't give you this expanded dungeon.
But if you want to have more dungeon in your 23 levels of dungeon, then you can of course go there.
And you can just do what you want.
Exactly. You can paint some more dungeon into your dungeon. You look at that and you're going to say, oh yes, I want to have more of that.
I want more dungeon per dungeon.
I want more dungeon per dungeon, since, the dungeons are massive. Every level is massive, and this is a small one here, there, but you also have bigger ones. And if you decide at one point I want to have more of that per level to explore for my players, then please feel free. Speaking of which, since we are at additional material here right now.
Leads to expanded dungeon, leads to expanded dungeon, leads to expanded dungeon. It's a lot of expanded dungeon for the fact that there's no expanded dungeon.
So the other thing is that, I was looking through the book and saw that all of those maps are in A4 format printed into the book, like any other book, right? So I said, let's get this additional little thing here which says maps and miscellany, and I was expecting a poster map, for example, or a player version, to be honest, because all of this in here of course is not a player version. There is numbering, there is secret doors entered and whatever, so you can't show this to your players. But if you play a dungeon crawl, you actually need to have something on your table, right? At least the layout of the level.
Just have to play it right.
Yeah, you can have the player draw it. We used to do this back in the old days when we were still living in caves and such. But no. So I thought, let's get this one here. It was $20. That was $20,
And he received this.
Well, no, I didn't. This is. Now I'm gone. You don't need to see my ugly face anymore. So this is one of the posters that you receive in the 2nd edition box for Undermountain. It's one of I think it's 6 per box that you have in there. So I was expecting this, but instead I got exactly the same as in the book. Not even as a player version, still with secret doors in it. Still tiny as hell. Nobody can actually play on this. You can just basically do a basic layouting and that's about it. So it's an insane amount of work. And if you buy the online version of it, over Roll20 for example, or something like that, it's exactly the same. It's bigger, so you can at least play it, and you have a player version without numbering, sure. But the design of them, what do you say about the artistic aspect of this map? Is that something that interests you? It has interesting points in it, yes, but if I'm on a VTT sitting in front of my monitor...
We've got a ship there.
Yes, there is a ship there.
Ships are interesting.
But if I'm on a VTT and I have to look at a sepia-colored map without any features at all for like 4 hours, I'm just gonna...
Not for 4 hours.
Drift off.
For 4 hours for approximately 80 to 100 sessions.
Yes. 4 hours for 80 to 100 sessions. So roughly, if you play weekly, we are talking about 2 to 3 years here in total. I mean, I'm DMing this now for the second year. We're reaching the end of the second year right now. And we are in session 70 something. So that's 2 years of play already in this. And we just finished level 14 out of 23. So there is still more dungeon to go. Problem is there is no story in this entire thing that goes through the levels where you can say, okay, we have a main goal that we want to accomplish.
It's just level to level to level.
Exactly.
And most of the levels have basically the exact same story, different flavor. Yeah. It's like two factions, they're at war, then you go to the next area. Yeah. It's two factions and they don't like each other very much. Because the one insulted the...
The bugbears.
The other guy is also there.
That is happening in like every second level at least, that you have 2 or 3 factions fighting a war.
And half of them are drow. Like you have 23 levels. Surely you can make every single one incredibly unique, but half of them are just drow.
Well, is it really half of them?
Well, it feels like half of them.
It feels probably like half of them, but yeah, there are definitely a lot of drow levels. I mean, you start with drow in the 3rd level, then you have drows later on in level 8 or something like that. It doesn't matter. Anyway, there is a lot of drow. I opened a random map, a random page, and it says drow.
Fucking drow.
It says drow. There is a lot of drow. There's a drow outpost. It feels more like
a new page. Look, that's a drow.
Just a random page, and there is a drow out. There's even more drow. That's actually an entire level just about drow. There is no second faction, there's just drow. There's 2 drow factions fighting against each other, 2 drow houses.
I mean, wow,
so they even erased the second faction of being something else.
So do they have like political intrigue and deep drow lore about houses warring?
No, of course not. You have to get into your bookshelf and search for anything drow related, drow lore, drow whatever.
Search for hotdrowpics.com.
Yeah, I gave my players the challenge to look for an ugly drow picture, but was actually turned out to be very difficult. Anyway, so this is just all an entire book of nothingness.
Yeah, areas don't have descriptions. So when you come to a new area, you have literally an overview. There's a boar, there's a statue that shoots disintegration, and there's 2 gold pieces hidden in the wall. I mean,
there's a lack of magic items. There's a lack of interesting room descriptions. There is basically no read aloud text of whatsoever. You can search the entire books. There's just...
The older edition had that.
The old edition had that, actually. I mean, the old edition, we can just quickly show that. The old edition came in 2 big boxes. That's the 2nd edition Undermountain 1 and 2 combined. And I mean, first of all, it comes with those poster maps that you just seen. And there's 1 of them, there's 2 of them. Books.
Here, random page. Do we have drows? No, we have a room of rubble. This alcove is weirdly lit by a flickering, drifting sphere of light. Its wandering radiance illuminates a waist-high heap of stony rubble, which fills the alcove and spills out into corridor. Yeah. Let's open a random page here. We have Drow Fortress. How Fref built its dark fortress in a 100-foot-high cavern, in the roof of which is dotted with stalactites. This isn't a read aloud text, this is just how it starts.
Yeah,
outside the fortress wall, the cavern floor is hidden under a 2-foot thick layer of fog. The fog is absent inside the walls and around the Spiderwatch keep. There's no light sources in and around the forest. Anyone approaching with light draws the attention of the drow. This is something you can read to the player.
Yeah, and I often do this. I often read this stuff to the players, but then in the middle, in the middle of the sentence, I have to stop because it starts describing what the monsters are doing. Actually, it's something that you should not disclose to the players.
2 ramps lead up to a 40-foot-high ledge that mostly encircles the wall of a immense dark cavern. 5 rocks are perched on the ledge. Oh, sorry, you shouldn't have known that.
Yeah, exactly. You just continue reading, and sometimes you just disclose information to the players that they should not know.
There's definitely no rocks there.
Yeah, exactly. So here we have in this box is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 poster-sized maps. So you can basically decorate your entire apartment with those maps. I mean, the grid size is exactly the same as on the A4 pages.
Those are even in color. Nothing in here is in color.
Those are in color, so you can definitely say, aha, look, there's a river going on here.
What year is it?
And,
when did this come out?
Ooh, what is that? There's a green space in the dungeon. Why is there green in the dungeon?
What year did this came out? Was color invented when this came out?
2018.
I think color was invented in 2018.
It came out in November 2018, which is also a point, like, I mean, it says Waterdeep on the title, right? As mentioned earlier, there's nothing about Waterdeep in there. In order to get some information about Waterdeep in 5th edition, you need to buy Dragon Heist. Yeah. There's not even a separate...
Now, Dragon Heist, they put an effort, right? They had James Heck write part of that. They had Matt Mercer write part of that.
Mercer?
Really? I think, pretty sure they had Matt Mercer write part of that. They took him in as a consultant. And here they're just like, one guy. Which guy? Which guy can we blame? We'll blame him by name. Lead designer, Christopher Perkins. What are you doing, Christopher Perkins?
I mean, it was Perkins himself. Perkins is actually writing quite a lot of stuff for D&D right now. So, I really don't know what went wrong when they took all of this, what you see here in my hands. And
so, like, this was great. Like, this was
it's not,
okay.
It was. I mean, it is a child of its time, right? That's how we played D&D back then. We had a lot of dungeon to explore, and we had a lot of empty squares and empty rooms where you can just do something with it or just forget about it. But at least those books here, they have something interesting about them. There's an actual campaign going on. There's quests, and you have read aloud text for basically every room, where you can then just have something interesting for the players. And then you have those trap cards with some random traps that you can roll on and throw in whenever you want to. So it was dangerous. 2nd edition was way more dangerous, and with every step you took, you could just die at a random occasion with a random door opening. Every door is a mimic or whatever. So, of course, 2nd edition was a different style of play, kind of play, so different, but there is so much material in here that you could use to write an actual campaign and make this interesting.
They should have stripped out half of the levels, scaled it down to like 12, and then actually written 12 good levels with plot going on, with characters, with things.
Exactly.
You interconnected 12 levels even.
And then even if you have just 12 levels, then having something like go to expanded dungeon would even make sense.
Yeah.
Then you could actually say, hey, yeah, look, I have those old boxes here and I know how the old maps look like. Let me just expand this a little bit. If you have a party that really enjoys dungeon dwelling, sure, why not? But not like this. Just don't give me 23 random maps of stuff that I can just throw at my players. Effortless.
You think the Mad Mage could do better in dungeon design?
Oh, yeah.
You'd think he'd put in more madly crazy stuff?
Yeah.
Like, imagine if he just created a demi-plane of... what can he create demi-planes of?
Of everything.
Demi-plane of...
Sugar Candy Land.
Exactly. Demi-plane of sugar. And then and you explore that, and it's a vast overworld with travel time and different locations and characters. And you can have the entire land connect to the next level, which is the demi-plane of boars.
Yes.
And the boars actually spill into the Candyland, and then you kill the boars. It's like, there's boars in this Candyland.
Yeah.
Better stop them before they eat all the candy. And then when you actually get to the next level, it's like, we've seen part of this. And you have Boar World. It's I don't know. Like those are the dumbest examples, and they're already more interesting than the entire campaign.
Yeah. I mean, we just ranted probably for 15 minutes or something like that. I don't have a watch here when we started, but there is one good thing that we can actually say about it, and it's Halaster himself. The villain is great.
He's not actually written.
No, he's in
the campaign.
Yeah, there is a stat block for him, of course, so there's no role-playing advice, but if you just Google a bit and go into the Forgotten Realms wiki and read up about him, he gives you insane freedom in role-playing. So you can do whatever. You can remodel the entire dungeon. You can put a wall just right behind your players out of nowhere without a warning. You can drop monsters just out of the sky. Absolutely no problem. I just put my players 800 years backwards in time into a completely different region because the Mad Mage was just sick of them and had to do some redecorations in the dungeon without being disturbed by some idiot adventurers. This is all possible, and it's actually, I mean, you can do this, and there is, I mean, of course, there's always a point where you can overdo it, right? Where you just start to annoy your players with your crazy ideas.
But I mean, that's the point. Then they'd hate the Mad Mage.
Yeah, exactly. But this point of annoyance comes very late for Halaster. So you can actually do crazy things, and your players will go like, oh yeah, it's just Halaster being Halaster again. So let's just try to deal with that, right?
My players, when I ran part of this, actually liked Halaster, which is the opposite of what the point is.
I don't feel that my party is hating him.
My character certainly despises him.
They have some kind of a love-hate relationship with him. Of course, he does crazy shit sometimes and puts them into danger. But then also he has like his funny moments where he just hangs out with his affair that he has in Skullport and drinks tea and invites the players actually to have some tea with them. Of course, it's always a very tense moment when you hang around with one of the most powerful wizards of your time in a shady tavern and drink some tea with him. You never know when he's just gonna snap you away and teleport you somewhere else. I don't know, a volcano. I mean, he can actually do this. He's doing everything that he does is there just for entertainment. He's entertaining himself. This is the entire purpose of the dungeon. He stopped researching magic and all that other kind of things years ago. It's just entertainment for him.
Yeah, so in the book, I think there's some plot going on about the weave making him insane, and it's the whole thing of him not letting him die. If he dies within the dungeon, he returns within
Spoiler
7
alert.
days. Oh no. But that's not something you can find out throughout the campaign, right? There's zero hints of that. That's
always a bit of the question, how much of this information and how can you... I mean, lore is described in a lot of books, but how do you actually disclose this lore to players? How do they find out about it? Very little of them...
you have locations where that lore is deeply woven into the story there. You have characters that care about it.
Yes.
If a character is lore and the character is interesting, then they care about it. But there's no way to really find out about this Halaster going insane and actually wants to die because this weave, or this knot in the weave, is slowly driving him insane and refuses to let him die. That's a very interesting villain, but it just says, that is a thing. It's not like that's in the actual design of the dungeons. No one sends you anywhere to deal with that. And realistically, you're gonna go to level 23. Halaster might or might not fight you. You kill him, you leave, you won. But 7 days later, he's just back.
I mean, the end of the campaign then is you defeat Halaster or you don't defeat Halaster, but after 10 days, he's going to be back and know nothing about all of this. This is just also, he loses his memory of what was going on, so you could actually then go into the dungeon again and have another go at 23 levels of dungeon.
It'd actually be fun to do the same 23 levels at level 20. Just see how quickly you blast through it.
Just rush through it and smash everything into pieces and see how fast you can actually do this. As a speed run, basically. Speed run Mad Mage.
Mad Mage, yeah, let's do it.
The Mad Mage speed run. Stream it, exactly.
Mad Mage speed run.
Needs to be done in 4 hours, basically. Talking of challenges, actually, in this dungeon. I mean, half of the fights in all of the levels are pretty much just there to block your path.
Wizards of the Coast is very bad at balancing fights. In the earlier levels, they often put in way too high of a CR.
Here it's actually the opposite.
And in then later levels, you start at level 5, which is the point where they already don't know how to balance anymore and things are way too weak.
Yeah, exactly. You start at level 5 and the first couple of levels there's very little that actually challenges the adventurers. And if there is something that challenges you, it's actually optional. Like a lot of fights are pretty optional and they don't fulfill any purpose. So half of them feels like random encounters.
Yeah, then there's a random fight in the middle of the book that's just insanely deadly.
Yeah. Oh no, actually it starts way earlier with the deadly fights. I mean, in dungeon level 4, at that point you should actually be level 8-ish, something like that. You fight an aboleth. And an aboleth is actually something that you should, as as a sane dungeon master, play as deadly as you can. I mean, those are elderly beings.
Yeah, but it's a CR10.
From a different...
Shitty elderly being if it's CR10.
Yeah, you need the companion to make it work.
There is a companion.
Yes.
400 pages?
400 plus, yeah. It's some 400 and something pages that you need there. It's not even, I mean, it has like 1 page of artwork per level, but you can count this out, it's still 400 plus pages.
Meaning that just an expansion of this makes the entire thing like 700 to 800 pages.
Yeah, this is roughly this is 310 pages, 300 and something pages. Yeah, 316,
let's call it a clean 800 pages.
Let's call it a clean 800, exactly, because you also need stuff on Skullport if you want to do Skullport. We haven't talked about Skullport yet, actually.
I don't know. We've talked.
We haven't. Yeah, we have talked a lot. It's a long video.
It takes 800 of those pages just to make it possible. Like the companion has a lot of fresh ideas, makes a lot of parts good, but overall, like you can't fix the fundamental flaws with going back. Things you do previously don't matter, etc. So it just takes a bad product and makes it okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I read 800 pages of a module, I want a lot more than okay.
Definitely, yes. Then I want role-playing advice on everything. I want actually NPCs that matter. I want well done maps that I can use offline and online at the same time.
So, well done to the guy that wrote the companion. I mean, really, he took what is the worst,
thumbs up.
This terrible module and made it possible.
Yeah, thumbs up to White Troll for actually just for taking the effort. It's already a thumbs up.
It's insane. Like you wrote 400 pages of companion
with read aloud texts and everything. So there was an insane amount of work flowing into this. You could actually take the companion, release that as the entire campaign, and add this map pack to it. That would be enough. You don't need that book actually. You just buy the companion for $20. You buy the map pack for $20, and you are at the same price as with the book.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That would be enough. You don't really need that book there at the end of the day if you go buy the companion. That's completely all right.
We wouldn't be here right now if the companion was the campaign. Then we'd a lot more forgiving.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. That would be a thing. Then the other thing is, I don't know, that is like a thing that was going on a couple of years back with Wizards of the Coast book. It's the print quality itself. I mean, yes, sure, it's a bit of a nitpick, but I mean, the binding is going apart. Mine looks a bit worse here in this lower part.
This is my book. This is
Luke's book. And pages are starting to come off. And my book has a bunch of print artifacts. Some corners of them did fall off without me doing anything to the book itself. I mean, I'm not really...
It's a problem with several Wizards of the Coast book.
Yeah.
Like I have other ones that have... One just has like a part of a page just with an ugly blue.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a bunch of misprints, and that's why, I mean, I'm pretty glad that those at least did not come wrapped in plastic, so you can actually check them out at the store before you buy them. And my copy of Rime of the Frost Maiden has a bunch of artifacts as well, but I could not check that out because it was the last one with the alternative cover. So I had to take that one, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's more of a Wizards of the Coast general problem, though.
I mean, we have this here is over 30 years old, this print, and it's in perfect condition. It's an absolute perfect condition. I mean, look at this. Would you say that this is 30 years old?
No. Well, I mean, from the inside design, I could be like,
sure. By design-wise, of course, you can say that. But
no,
I mean, this is flawless. This is absolutely flawless. There's nothing about it. And I mean, even the boxes are okay. They of course, I mean, it's cardboard, so they have those white spots that you have from moving them around.
It's not like you bought them 30 years ago and then kept them in pristine condition. Now you just bought them recently or so?
Yeah, I bought them like last year, used from a guy on the internet, and they are perfect. They're good. They're absolutely fine. I mean, of course, that guy has a collection going on and sells them for a stupid price. But that's just another issue that's going on with old school material right now, that it goes for insane prices, but that's about it. Can't do much about it. That's it. I mean, conclusion, what's the conclusion here?
It's bad. It's not. It's really bad, honestly.
Yeah,
So
I have no idea how you YouTubers out there, like the more popular ones. I mean, we're just a small little candle in the wind. How you came to the conclusion that this is like a 5 out of 10? I don't really see a 5 out of 10 here. For me, that's a natural one.
I'm surprised they even rated it that low.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen top 10 D&D 5e module list, right? And it scores in the midfield, like around 5, 6 maybe even.
I've read, I want to say above or looked into more than half of the campaigns of modules in 5th edition, and this is definitely the worst.
This is definitely, yeah. I agree. I completely agree.
If we're rating anything a 1, we can rate this a 1.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, Hallister has potential, but it's not really in the book. There's the heavy problem of, I mean, it's just an endless dungeon that grows insanely boring.
Yeah.
The different dungeons aren't interconnected in a way, so you can never go back and deal with previous problems. There's not the through line, it's just things don't matter.
There's no red ribbon through the campaign.
Levels themselves they have always the same we're at war type of story. There's not interesting characters, there's not interesting loot. It's honestly baffling that it's a 300 pages of nothing.
Yes. It's a waste of paper, a waste of time reading it. And I'm finishing it just for the sake of finishing it right now. This is my entire goal with this campaign, is hopefully provide a more or less memorable experience for my group. And
I mean, I'll definitely remember how bored I am through certain sections.
Again, this is how much he loves me as a dungeon master. Yeah.
The second he took us out of the dungeon and the campaign is suddenly great.
Yeah. I took them out. I was feeling that the group needs a break from all of this dungeon dwelling, and I took them out into the wild, and suddenly everything is bright and nice, and there's actually stuff going on, and now they have things to explore. And I mean, you have things to explore in a dungeon, but it's always dungeon.
It's always boring.
Yeah.
Why can't these be? We already talked. Did the demi-planes make in?
Maybe not. We had a small little technical issue. The camera just refused to record more than 30 minutes, so maybe there is something going on there, but I'll do my best editing it out. Actually, I mean, if you like, share and subscribe, we could do better, probably. Just
we'll make better videos if you subscribe.
Exactly. Every subscription makes us better actors, better presenters, better everything.
Every subscriber makes us 1% better.
Yeah. So far, all what you see has been invested by ourselves. We had to put this up. I mean, we got some new decorations. We have a shiny D20 now in the background. So we're definitely not copying other famous D&D YouTubers.
No, we never.
No. We also have nothing in common with the dungeon dudes. It's just the dungeon dudes happen to be 2 different dudes that sit there and talk about dungeons.
No, we're way better looking.
We're way better looking, definitely.
No, but if any of these people that put that into top 10 want to talk to us, we happily discuss why you think it's great and why you're wrong.
I'd be up for a streamed video call with you guys, talking to you, WASD20, XP to level 3. What was the other guy?
I don't know. There's people.
There's people. Yeah,
anyone.
People.
We're desperate for content.
Yes. So feel free to contact us if you ever stumble upon our tiny viewer base, then feel free. We are up for any discussion.
We'd love to talk about this more. We probably will discuss this more just in our private life.
We will. I mean, we had the video idea by, just ranting about it, and then at some point we realized, hey, we could actually just record what we just did and release it as a video, and it would be probably
It's barely scripted. It's terrible.
Not scripted at all. We have a bunch of bullet points.
It's only slightly better than this adventure is written.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with us. So, already mentioned, like, share, and subscribe the video if you like it. And we're going to see each other next time.
Yeah. See you then.
Goodbye.